This is the update. This is where I'm at. Essentially, I have a good lock on a location where I believe I can find some super strange lights in the sky. I'm just calling them lights in the sky. I don't like the word drones because I don't think they're drones. One of the questions is, did the drones ever go away? Holy shit, there are drones everywhere. There's one over there, there's one over there. They're flying really low. I finally, I'm getting closer to the neighborhood and I'm seeing all these crazy, lights in the sky. I'm like, what I was taking videos of were in fact commercial airliners. The last thing I want to do is post a bunch of random videos without doing the proper research. Okay, welcome. I thought I'd give you guys an update, a long-awaited update. It's been a few weeks since I made a video, and I thought I'd just kind of walk through what I've been doing for the past few weeks. So I was able to decide on a long-term Airbnb solution. This guy, he's a Green Beret. He works for the Air Force. He's a survivalist expert. He teaches like survival skills. And he's awesome. He's super awesome, super cool guy. And he's transformed his house into an Airbnb situation. So he's got 3 rooms, and so he's got 3 potential guests at any one point in time. And then he sleeps in the basement. So it's kind of cool. It's kind of like a hostel situation. It's been really cool to like have other people around and meet new people. So I got here in central Jersey, like South Central, next to this Air Force base, and it's actually a very large military complex. It's 3 joint bases. Fort McGuire is the Air Force base, which is what I'm closest to, and then there's also Fort Dix, which is an Army base, and then there's also Lakehurst, which is a naval base. And they're all pretty close to each other. And there's testing ranges out here, like large testing ranges, which makes sense. You need a place to test your military stuff, right? So for that week, January 11th through the 18th, I was kind of exploring, trying to find some good open space. There's a lot of trees here that kind of get in the way of viewing the sky. And I was able to find a location where on a clear night, every time I've gone out there, I see these aircraft coming and going. These things don't show up on flight radar, and there's a lot of them. And there's a very particular kind of flight pattern to them. So I've pinpointed where they come from, and it's not just like 1 or 2. This is like 20 to 30 things coming and going per hour. It's very, very regular. And given the size of this military zone, it's, I suppose, not that surprising. I have no idea how many military aircraft get tested every night. I really don't want to spy on the military. That's not my goal. I don't really want to do that. I don't want to get in trouble. I have no interest in that aspect. But, could that explain these New Jersey drones? I don't know. It's very, very possible, sure. Part of my hesitation on giving an update is I really wanted to understand like what these things that I'm seeing are, because they move in linear motion like an aircraft. The fact that they don't show up on flight radar is pretty weird. But more recently, I was actually able to talk to a pilot online, and we went through some aviation maps. And he told me that this particular location that I'm at, aircraft are not required to broadcast their location publicly on what's called ADS-B. It's like the public-facing aircraft radar database. So things are starting to make a little bit more sense on that front. it seems as though this particular location is most likely military testing aircraft that don't show up on flight radar because they don't have to. They're not required to. In fact, even civilian aircraft in this airspace, they don't need to broadcast their location publicly, which I thought was surprising. I had no idea that that was possible. I kind of thought that like everything in the sky needed to be known at all times. I suppose the military can kind of probably just do whatever they want. That was my first kind of week on the ground exploring these lights in the sky. I think I've come to the conclusion that I don't believe I'm breaking any rules because I'm not really going anywhere I'm not supposed to. I'm not really entering the base. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with taking pictures of the sky. I don't think that I'm gonna like find any secret military secrets. Like that's just not gonna happen. So my plan is to, I've charted a path for where these things go, and I'm gonna try to get closer underneath of them and take better photos and videos of them. And I'm really not expecting to find anything crazy on that front. And if you remember that week of January, like the second and third week of January, the news media completely dropped the drone issue almost entirely. And a lot of it even went away on social media. I was kind of coming to this realization that, well, what I'm seeing is just not that interesting in this particular location that I'm talking about. So that's one thing. And then the second week, the week of the 12th through the 20th, I took an online class, intensive 8 hours a day for 5 days straight. I'll make a separate video on that kind of learning experience. And so there was just a week straight where I was just studying, really. It has to do with meditation and doing a lot of different types of meditation practices. And so, yeah, that week I was I just was so tired after those classes that I just didn't go out at all. And then the week after that, I continued my my meditation practices, and that was very fruitful. And I'm really happy that I took those 2 weeks to really just do a lot of meditation. This brings us to last week. That week was almost entirely made up of kind of going down all these different rabbit holes of information, and again, kind of hard to piece together some kind of logical narrative of what the hell is going on. And during that point in time, last week, I also got in contact with a person through Facebook who was saying, the drones are back out, they're here again over my house, and you know, they're going crazy. And you know, this seems to happen on clear nights particularly. So one of the questions is, did the drones ever go away? And you know, it certainly died down online for sure in the middle of January. And as of last week, it seems to have picked back up. And so anyways, after having this conversation with this person and trying to figure out where they're seeing these things, I hopped in my van, I drove 45 minutes to that neighborhood where she said she was seeing them. And I got kind of worked up, honestly. You know, on my drive on the highway, I was like, holy shit, there are drones everywhere. There's one over there, there's one over there. They're flying really low. and I was hopping out of my van. I was frantically like trying to take pictures and video. And I was also trying to like verify on flight radar if these things are aircraft. In that location, you are required to broadcast your location on ADSB, the public-facing flight radar database. So that's a much better location to go verify if these drones are really there or not, because if it doesn't show up on flight radar, then yeah, it's super strange and it's something other than an aircraft, most likely, like a traditional aircraft. So I finally, I'm getting closer to the neighborhood and I'm seeing all these crazy, lights in the sky. I'm like, okay, I gotta calm down. I gotta just get to I find a park near her location and I set up. It's rather cold, it's late at night, and I start taking pictures and video. And I've got my flight radar in front of me and I know what direction I'm facing and I've got the map oriented correctly. I've got my compass out. I've got a good awareness of my surroundings and where I'm at. And I'm waiting around and sure enough, there's this light in the sky and I'm like, holy shit, is this it? And then I was able to just kind of take some time to really verify that what I was taking videos of were in fact commercial airliners. And I was out there for a few hours and I saw many, many aircraft, kind of fly in, and most planes have their kind of headlights, for lack of a better word, their running lights. And when they're turning, it can almost seem like just a bright light if they're facing you. And then as they bank and make turns, you can kind of see the red and green lights on the wingtips. And so it can kind of appear as though like an orb appears and then it transforms and then moves in a kind of a gliding, kind of slow manner. The truth of the matter is that the person that was telling me about all these drones in her neighborhood, she is in a direct flight path to the Philadelphia airport. Every single thing I saw in the sky in that neighborhood, I was able to verify as a plane. Yeah, I think most of what she was seeing were planes going into the Philadelphia airport. Now, does that mean that there are no drones over here and over her house and in that area? I actually think that despite my findings that one night, I've been there a couple nights actually now, and despite me verifying what I was seeing as planes, I do believe that there are still drones out. I was able to talk to another person online who seemed a bit more grounded and was checking flight radar very consistently. And it is close to that same location. That person said at one point she had a flashlight and signaled this thing, and it signaled back to her, which I thought was very, very interesting. Essentially, I have a good lock on a location where I believe I can find some super strange lights in the sky. I'm just calling them lights in the sky. I don't like the word drones because I don't think they're drones. So I just need to go out there, and I just haven't done that yet. So that's just sort of where I'm at, and that's the update. I've got two locations. One is close to the military base, and I'm less excited about, but I know how to get closer to them, and I'm going to do that as well. And the other location is closer to Philadelphia in New Jersey. And that is a much more intriguing location because, yeah, it does seem anomalous and weird. And so I just need to go do that. And I haven't done that yet. So bear with me. I'm kind of taking this slow and methodical and trying to be logical with things, and trying not to jump to conclusions, and really verifying my own thoughts with logic and reasoning. The last thing I want to do is post a bunch of random videos without doing the proper research, making claims that aren't well thought through. So this is the update. This is where I'm at. Stay tuned. I will certainly continue my path forward, and I look forward to providing more updates.